To say that things have not gone well for Brian Kelly and LSU to start the season during his tenure as head coach of the Tigers would be an understatement. They're 0-3 in season openers. 2 one-score losses to Florida State and USC, and just curb stomping at the hands of the Seminoles. Now, I think LSU deserves praise for scheduling tough week 1 games, because not everybody does it. The overwhelming majority of games, and really kind of outside of 2025, where week 1, the schedule looks great on Saturday, August 30th, going into the 31st, Labor Day, etc. The schedule looks pretty good. But in the past, the trend has been to schedule cupcakes, little sisters of the poor, schools you couldn't find on a map. And LSU has bucked that. They have played big-time opponents to start the seasons, and yet it hasn't paid off for them. They have been yet to win one of those big-time games to start the season under Brian Kelly. And that trend, the trend of scheduling teams maybe not winning, continues in 2025. They're going to play at Clemson to start the season, which is a fantastic game, and that's going to continue. They'll play at Clemson in 2026. They'll play Houston, SMU, Arizona State, Utah in week 1 matchups over the course of the next 5, 6, 7 years. And I think that deserves to be commended. They deserve applauded, all of the praise in the world. But at some point, you got to win those games, and they haven't under Brian Kelly yet. And he is going all in, selling out to beat Clemson in week number 1. He said at SEC Media Days, we've got paw prints in our weight room to remind us that Clemson is coming. We've got a countdown clock. We are doing everything we can to turn all our focus and attention to beating Clemson to start week number 1. Now, obviously, Brian Kelly can't sit down and say, you know what, in today's college football world, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to go 12-0. You can lose in week 1 and still be fine. He can't come out and say that. So I wholly recognize that. But I also wonder if you're putting all of your eggs in one basket, if you are getting so laser focused that the only objective you have is beating Clemson, are you setting yourself up for failure if you don't win? Because that demoralizing, depressing attitude is really easy to come into should you not win that game. And I don't think it's unreasonable to question whether or not LSU is going to beat what is going to be either the first, second, or third ranked team in the country on the road to start the season. So I think LSU's somewhat in a no-win situation to start the season, because if you win, if you beat Clemson on the road, it's not the fun, exciting jubilation that you might expect from winning such a game. It's a deep sigh of relief. It's we got that monkey off our back. We won a season opening game against a big-time opponent. And I think that sucks. If you're going to go on the road and beat Clemson, a team that conceivably, some people say, has the number 1 overall pick in the 2026 NFL draft in Cade Klubnik, and a team that conceivably should compete for a national championship or at least be in the hunt this coming season. If you go into their house on a Saturday night and beat them, that should be cause for celebration. It should be reason to jump up and down and lose your mind. But when you put so much focus, attention, and effort into winning such a game, it's just a deep sigh of relief. And alternatively, if you lose that game, the questions persist. The questions are, what in the hell do you have to do to win a season opening game? Because they've booted 2 of the 3 under Brian Kelly. They absolutely should be 2-1 in season opening games under Brian Kelly, and they're 0-3. And if you go to Clemson and lose, which I don't think is an unreasonable thing to expect or predict, I don't think that's outlandish, no matter what LSU fans might think. Because I think LSU fans, and I think justifiably so this year, expect the Tigers to compete for an SEC championship and be in the hunt to win the national championship. Because like Clemson and Cade Klubnik, the LSU Tigers have a quarterback that I'll tell you, I'm really high on Garrett Nussmeier. I think he has the potential, like Cade Klubnik, to be the number 1 overall pick in 2026. So the expectations are going to be high. But if you put so much focus, attention, and effort completely selling out to win week number 1. And that's not to say everybody sells out to win every game every week, right? But when you come into the season and you put all of your focus on getting off on the right foot, if you don't get there, there's just that much more attention on your failure. And you're setting yourself up for failure if you don't complete task number 1. And task number 1 is a really, really difficult task. Going on the road into a hostile environment, one of the best environments in the sport, the atmosphere electric. Winning that game is not a foregone conclusion by any stretch of the imagination. And so, if you don't win, you're now 0-4 in season openers. You're now 0-4 in season openers against teams that have high expectations or are really looking forward to having a really good season. You have questions about Brian Kelly as a whole of like, okay, is this guy the right guy? And you have to deal with all of that under the emotional baggage of, God damn it, we just didn't do the one thing we set out to do. Brian Kelly at SEC Media Days is saying things like, with the talent and experience that we have coming back, there's no reason why we can't and shouldn't play our best football in week number 1. That's a lot to live up to because nobody plays their best football in week number 1. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be things that you hadn't prepared for, planned for, etc. And that's okay. It's going to happen to everybody. But when you go balls to the wall to say, essentially, our whole season rides on this game because LSU's schedule still is pretty difficult outside of their game against Clemson to start the season. They have to play Florida. They have to play at Ole Miss. They play South Carolina. They play Texas A&M. They're at Alabama. They're at Oklahoma. Things are not easy for LSU in 2025. So if you lose in week 1, when your mindset going in is this is in the bag for us. We are 1-0, baby. If you start 0-1, it's real easy to then go, oh, crap. Instead of 11-1, we're going to be 10-2. Instead of 10-2, we're going to be 9-3. These players aren't dumb. They have an idea that they're probably not going to be 12-0, 13-0, number 1 team in the country, SEC champions, favorites to win the national championships. Players aren't stupid. They're not mindless robots. They are somewhat self-aware. And when you deal with that self-awareness and you don't do the thing that you have now prepared for months to do, if you don't accomplish what you set out to accomplish in week number 1, which is get a win in a really difficult environment, I wonder if you set yourself up for failure, if you set your season up for collapse by putting all of your eggs in the we've got to beat Clemson to start the season basket. Because I think it's much more likely that they lose that game than it is win it. And when you've put all of your attention and effort into winning that game, you can watch the bottom fall out of that basket. And that is a gigantic problem that you then have to rectify and say, we got to figure out what the hell else is next or what we've got to do, etc. And it's a fair point for Brian Kelly to put all their attention in winning that week 1 game. Because when you look at the criticisms that are valid of that program under his tutelage, it's easy to look at that and go, yeah, that needs fixed. And I think that if you look at your program and say, all right, what needs fixed? It's only logical to try to fix it. It only makes all the sense in the world to say 0-3 in season openers. Better change that. And that's different if your season opener is against Western Kentucky or Southeast Louisiana. It's not. It's at Clemson, a top 5 team to start the season. But when you are selling completely out, you are doing everything it takes to win that game, you often don't think about the alternative of what in the hell happens if we don't. And when you consider that, I think that makes the 2025 season really scary for LSU, because I think they can be a college football playoff team, a college football playoff contender, an SEC title contender. And I'm glad that in the year of our Lord 2025, you don't have to be perfect to get a chance to win the national championship. You don't have to be at your best on August 30th to play for a title on January 20th. I think that's awesome. And yet, I think you can be setting yourself up for a really big downfall after week one if you only put all of your eggs in we're going to start the season 1-0, everybody. Nothing to worry about basket. Because that's a really scary game to play week one and just operate as if you're going to win and then what next? And if you don't ever consider what happens if you lose, it's a bad proposition. That'll do it for today's episode of the Daily Huddle. Appreciate you making us a part of your day, however it is, wherever it is you're doing so. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're getting all the great college football content we're pumping out. If you're listening on the podcast feed, drop a 5-star review. It goes a long way in helping out the channel. I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of the Daily Huddle.